I am just not made for this heat. 100%. And that's my phone ringing. I'm not going to answer it. Hello, I'm Charlotte and this is Desperately Seeking Charlotte. Today I'm coming to you with the mid-year book Freakout tag, which I was going to say I do every year, but I think that might be rubbish. I'm not sure if I actually did it last year or the year before, but for that matter. But if I did, I'll link them somewhere below. But today I'm doing it a little bit differently. I had a look through some of the questions and some of them I didn't think fit with my channel. And also the ones that are like most anticipated books for the end of this year would be here forever, because as you know, I make a most anticipated books video every month, so I thought I'd just leave that out. I am absolutely melting today. Thank God for this play suit that I got from the victim support charity shop, which if you haven't seen my vlog, it was in there, and also my charity shop haul. Again, we'll leave these linked down below. But I thought I'd start with a few stats. Now these stats are via Storygraph. Again, if you want to follow me on Storygraph, you can find the link below. As of this moment in time where I am filming, I have read 63 books so far this year. I had originally set my goal at 52, which is a book a week, and have surpassed that. So I've now gone up to 104. And at the moment, I am on target to reach that goal. I have DNF'd 11 books this year, which on one hand doesn't seem like that many, but on the other hand, it seems like a lot. But I just guess I'm starting to know my taste a bit better, and I know early on if a book isn't going to be for me. However, some of those DNFs, I DNF'd at like 50% plus. So I have really been trying to stick it out with books, but some, yeah, I just ended up saying no thank you. That equates to a total of 19,589 pages, which again, my goal this year was to read 100 pages a day, and I'm currently surpassing that. If we're breaking that down into fiction and non-fiction, I'm currently on 59% fiction and 41% non-fiction, which, as I mentioned in another video, my goal is for it to be about 50-50 this year. So hopefully that is still doable. I am only going to talk about fiction books in this video, and it's just because I read such a diverse range of non-fiction that I feel like a video like this, I find it really hard to kind of separate the books. And so later in the year there will be a video all about the non-fiction that I have loved this year, but for now we're just going to focus on the fiction. The top 5 genres that I've read is split and in top place with 11 books apiece. Now I have mentioned before that sometimes I don't think Storygraph is fantastic on the way that it categorises books. However, 11 books apiece for contemporary and self-help, which I really think that sums up how my last month has been, especially, but that is that. I've read 8 thrillers, and then again in third place with 7 books apiece is romance and LGBTQIA plus fiction. And my average rating at this point in time is 4.08, which I think is fantastic because, like I said, if I know that a book is going to be less than a 3-star, I generally won't continue reading it unless it's a book that I am reading for a reason. And there's one book that I will talk about later on in this video that I gave a 1-star to, although I don't actually think I read to the very end, but I was so close to the end that I didn't class it as a DNF, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. So firstly, let's start with the best book I've read so far this year. Now, all of these categories are going to have a winner and some highly commended. And the winner so far is Felix Ever After by Case and Calendar. I can't tell you any more about why I love this book. This book follows Felix. I was going to say Case and then. No, that is the author. And Felix is an openly trans man who isn't ashamed of who he is and doesn't feel the need to hide who he is, until one day someone at school puts up a gallery of his dead name and pictures of him before, and he goes on this mission to find out who it is, but actually he finds that he becomes obsessed with trying to get revenge. And this book was just brilliant. There are so many themes and threads running through this, and it really showed that even as a trans man, Felix goes through a lot of the same trials and tribulations that all teens go through. He makes mistakes, he questions his identity, and overall I just thought this book was pretty perfect, so I had to put this as my best book so far. Two highly commendeds though are from different genres to that, and one of these is Love Locked Down by Beth Reekles. I believe in America this is called Love on London Lane, and this was just fantastic. This is following 5 couples over the space of 1 week. This is my proof copy, so I'll put a finished copy up here. But it was just, I just loved it. There was all these different stories interwoven into each other. Basically, it follows an apartment block that gets shut down due to COVID. So we have some people that are forced to be apart. We have some people that are forced together. We have a hen party that are forced to stay together. We have a woman who is trying to sneak out after a one-night stand. And yeah, all the stories just fitted so well. And I still to this day really hope there's going to be a sequel, because I could see a lot of stories following on from this one. And my second highly commended, I don't actually have a physical copy yet as it's only out in hardback at the moment, but as soon as it comes out in paperback I will be snapping up a copy, and that is Idol by Louise O'Neill. Louise O'Neill has fast become one of my Insta buy authors. I have read 3 of her books. I still have Asking for It and Always with Love, I think, to read. This one, Idol, is an adult fiction rather than YA, and it was just, I was listening to Jen Campbell talking about it this morning, and she was saying about how, like, when you first start reading it, it's very fake, very kind of simple, and you kind of think, what have I got myself into? But make sure you push through that, because that is all part of the story. We follow Samantha, who is a wellness guru, and that is what she has titled herself as. And she has released a book all about celibacy. She has published an essay into an online magazine talking about a passionate love affair that she had with a female friend when she was at college, and this goes pretty viral. Although she doesn't mention the friend's name, her publicist gets an email from the girl in question who says, actually, that's not how I remember it, and I'm not happy. I actually remember it being non-consensual. And then we really go from there. So our main character Samantha has always, quite rightly, talked about how victims should be believed, and then we follow this kind of turmoil when she herself is now being portrayed as the perpetrator. We look at how this is going to affect not only her career but her life as she goes back to her hometown to try and smooth things out. And Louise O'Neill has this way of writing that makes you feel so uncomfortable through the whole book, and yet I didn't want to put it down, and I can't wait to see what she comes up with next. You change your mind about 50 million times throughout the book, whether whose side you're on and who you believe, and yeah, it was just fantastically done, so I definitely recommend that. Question number 2 is best sequel, and I haven't read many sequels this year, but the winner for me has got to be Willow Moss and the Vanished Kingdom. This is the 3rd book in the Starfell series, and I think that the 4th book is out now in hardback, but I've got it pre-ordered in paperback. I always say this when I talk about Starfell, I can't really give you much away because it is the 3rd in a series, but we start at the beginning with our young witch Willow Moss. At the beginning of book 1, she is not happy that her sisters have better powers than her. She is quite cruelly nicknamed Fetch by them because her talent is to find lost things. However, when Morag Vane, who is the most powerful witch, comes to Willow for her help, things unravel. And it's just a brilliant story about family and connections, and really how everybody is powerful in their own way. And books 2 and 3 follow on from there. Coming in a very close second is Rainbow Grey, The Eye of the Storm. And to be honest, between these two, you could have asked me on any day and one would have pipped the other to the post. But this is the second book in the Rainbow Grey series. At the beginning of book 1, Grey is a character who doesn't have a weather magic, and she finds out what she's got to do, basically. Again, I don't want to give spoilers. They both have beautiful sprayed edges, and if you haven't read this book, I would read it. And then my second highly commended, I actually could have included these books in, new author as well, because although it's not a new author, and these books are not new by any means, but the Cornish Cream Tea Bus series by Cressida McLaughlin has just swept into my life this year, and I don't know why I've been sleeping on it for so long. It really started with me reading The Staycation, which is just here, by Cressida McLaughlin, and this is a great book as well. I know I'm not supposed to just be talking about this, but this was really good. I liked reading this alongside Love Lockdown, because this wasn't actually related to COVID, but our main character can't go away because he's got broken ribs, so our travel agent basically brings different holidays to him, and yeah, that was lovely. Not what this is about though. So the Cornish Cream Tea series, I really want to get on to book number 3 now, but it is a Christmas book, so I'm really trying to hold off a bit. But if you like fluffy community style books, then you will definitely like these. So if you watch any of my anticipated releases videos, there are plenty of new releases from this year that I haven't got to yet. So I thought I'd just pick up 2 that have been sent to me and 1 that I pre-ordered that I really should have got round to by now. The first of these is The Golden Couple by Greer Hendricks and Sarah Pekkanen. This was sent to me via Book Break, and this was out in hard copy in March, and I haven't read it yet. I don't know why, because I have enjoyed... I read The Therapist was B.A. Paris. I've read An Anonymous Girl and You Were Not Alone. I think that's what it's called. Both again by Greer Hendricks and Sarah Pekkanen, and loved them both. Then an author that I hadn't heard of until the publicist reached out to me, and that is Charlotte Butterfield's By This Time Tomorrow. This has time travel rep into it, which is one of my little catnip favourites. I am like a moth to the flame with time travel, so again, don't know why I haven't picked up this. And then another one, because I've read, actually to be fair, I've only read one by this author. I still have their other one on the shelf, and that is Book Lovers by Emily Henry, because everybody was raving about it, so I pre-ordered it and haven't read it yet. This is probably going to go onto my summer TBR, because I can see this being a really summery read. So the next question should be biggest disappointment, but I think I'm going to leave that till the end. Let's stay with the positives for now. So that is favourite new author. Now this can either be a debut author or a new to you author. And looking through so far, I don't believe there's been any debut authors that have stood out to me so far this year. So if there's any new authors that have really spoken to you, please let me know below, because I'd like to support some more debut authors. But the 2 that have stood out to me, first is Ellery Lloyd, and this is a husband and wife team writing together, and I have read both People Like Her and The Club this year, and they were both, I think I gave them both 4 stars, but they were both really pacey thrillers that kept me hooked the whole time. Like with Idol, People Like Her has a big strong focus on social media, which I really, really enjoyed. And The Club is all about rich assholes, basically, that are on a secluded island and somebody gets murdered, which again is another like catnip trope to me. The other one is Sarah Haggerholt. Now I have got another one of her books on my TBR, and I am going to try and squeeze it in before the end of June, But I read Proud of Me this year and just absolutely fell in love with it. Right, are we ready to move on to a couple of my disappointments? Now, I do think I'm going to do a separate video all about romances that haven't lived up to the hype for me. But the first disappointment to me was The Love Hypothesis, and I cannot tell you how disappointed I was with this book. To be honest, I'd like to say that I hated it, but I didn't. Everybody had told me how amazing it was going to be, and I thought the women in STEM representation was just really poor. Like, I felt like everybody's giving the author a pat on the back for something that they haven't even done well. I thought our protagonist, yes, she worked in a lab, but to me was just like any other woman in any romance. I thought there was absolutely no chemistry whatsoever. I thought that he was just a bit of an asshole. And what else can I say? I DNF'd this one. I didn't even finish it because I just got to the point where I was so bored. And I just thought, do you know what? I don't like any of you characters in this. You can all just get in the bin. So I had to ask Aoife from Pretty Purple Polka Dots to DM me the other day about what is this thing that he did during the sex scene that everybody was talking about. And I'm going to say, if you know, you know, and I don't think that is possible. I don't think, if anybody has read it and has done that thing and it is possible, let me know below. But yeah, that was a big disappointment. And then the second book that was a real disappointment to me was Mandy Baggett's One Last Greek Summer. Now, I don't know why I'm waving my fan around. I think I'm just getting into the flow here. But I really wanted to enjoy that one because on paper it was totally my type. It was set in Corfu for a start, which, if you've been on my channel, if this is your first video, you probably don't know how obsessed I've been with Corfu this year. But yeah, it was set in Corfu. It had the premise of love and romance and Greek food and a Greek summer, and it just, I think the thing that really annoyed me, there was a lot of diet culture references. Now, I know in the women's fiction space, I am currently really hard pressed to find anything that doesn't have a single diet reference. But I'm getting there, and we're getting less and less. However, this, and then I think the thing that like got me more than anything is that I think it was trying to have a diverse cast of characters by having a lesbian character, but she was just awful. She was just like, and it was like, because there was one English lesbian and one Greek lesbian, like they were obviously going to date, and there was just this whole monologue that she did about not being a pride flag waving lesbian, and she doesn't have to show it about. And I just thought, do you know what? I can tell that this is written by a straight author. Yes, I get that not all queer people want to be so vocal and advertise it, but this whole book just, I don't know, it just absolutely reeked of privilege, and not in a good way. So that was that. So I hope you've liked my mid-year freakout tag. Those are just my opinions. If you feel differently about any of these books, feel free to leave a comment, but let's all be respectful of each other down below. And until next time, look after yourselves. Bye.